second parking lot across the street from the building here. We plan on, coming in here and doing earthwork and tearing up all this old, stuff and replacing it with, what's supposed to be here for the new building. Our main problem is this live electrical line that used to feed the old ATM for the bank, and unfortunately I've had my struggles with DTE to try to get them out here to de-energize this and remove it so that we can come in here without any hazards and start our work. But unfortunately it's been very difficult to get them to come out here and do the work and B, just to articulate exactly what needs to be done. So they've been out here a few times but unsuccessfully taken this power out. And so my thing is I don't care how it goes and leaves, but I need it to leave because otherwise, my schedule goes off and, ultimately I'm responsible. So, but it is difficult sometimes dealing with DTE to get them out here to do the work. But essentially, this power, the power line actually runs, you can see the painted red on the ground here. It actually runs right behind the alley of the building and connects to the telephone pole that's there in the alley. And so really what they need to do is de-energize it at the pole and then, and then take their meter. And then after that, we're good to go. So it's really not, it shouldn't be something that's time consuming or anything like that. It should be a day's worth of work. But unfortunately, like I said, it's just difficult to deal with DTE. But we'll make it happen and they'll get out here eventually. Just got to bug them enough. Once we do get the power turned off at that old ATM, what we're actually going to do is we're going to take that old, array there, and we're actually going to put it over here, put it on the back of our dumpster enclosure. Now, instead of running a new power line from there over to here, we're actually going to take it off of this telephone. We're going to run a new power source right here. Now, this power over on this side of the street will feed your telephone poles over here. And I'm sure we'll have some, auxiliary power, in the future if Eddie wants to service some EVs or something like that. He can put in some, charging stations on this side too. But
you never know.
That's what we'll do. We'll de-energize there, and we'll pull a new power line from this telephone pole and feed it right into the back, right behind here, and kind of keep it hidden with some. There'll be some landscaping that'll happen here eventually. So. We're on the exterior of the building and the future parking lot area. If you look, we've started to do some of the caulking on the exterior. So it's kind of might be difficult to see through camera, but the inside corner where that Nichiha board meets our soffit material, there is a caulk line that's gone over at the top and then down both sides, and that's typical pretty much everywhere. So everywhere that there's a joint, we're gonna add caulk. So that's one of the areas. Another one is around this board here. You can see we did a color match with the caulk and the actual board material, and so that runs up. But pretty much anywhere that there's corners or terminations, you're going to see a caulking material. So you can actually see it up on these top of the balconies here. We're just adding it in a lot of places to make sure we seal up the building and keep it watertight and airtight. Yeah, you're good. So we are standing on the third floor, and we've just started cabinet installation as of yesterday. So as you can see, we've got some upper cabinets hung on the wall. Just to talk about some details, obviously you guys can see that, we've got some gaps here, a much smaller gap there. So one of the things that cabinet installers do is once they've hung the cabinet, they'll go in and adjust these hinges that are on the inside. The nice thing about the cabinet company that we use is they do use very good hardware on their cabinets, and so these are actually adjustable up and down, and also depth-wise they're also adjustable. And what that does is allow them to move the cabinet faces so that we get a much cleaner gap, and one that's not, skewed like it is on these. So they haven't adjusted them yet because yesterday we met with our cabinet maker and our cabinet installer to basically coordinate and make sure we're all on the same page of what we're working with here. So they did hang some, but they do obviously still need to be adjusted, as you can see. We're We're in the first floor space now. You can kind of see some of the prep work has been started for pouring concrete on this first floor. So a few of the things that are required for concrete in this particular building. We have to bring in a crushed gravel, 21 AA, for a compacted solid base for the concrete to rest on, so that there's not, it reduces the possibility of any settling and cracking in the concrete. Obviously you can't, concrete's not perfect, so that's why we add our saw cuts after concrete install. But we bring in a 21 grade A, we install a 2-inch foam 2 feet around the entire perimeter. Any wall that goes to the exterior of the building always gets this 2 foot wide of 2-inch foam insulation on it. Some things you don't see in here yet, but another 2 items that'll be installed. We're going to be installing a 10 mil vapor barrier plastic along the entire base. And then on top of that, we'll be installing a woven wire mesh that'll also basically get, once the concrete starts to get poured, it's going to get pulled up into the concrete as additional reinforcement of flexion in the concrete. Let's see here. So talking about the back there, one of the things that we did before we started bringing in gravel and leveling things out is we installed all of our underground piping for our bathroom stack. So there's going to be a set of bathrooms in this back corner, and we installed our PVC piping and got that inspected this week. So that's ready to go. Not to call attention to imperfections, but some of the things that you have to deal with is a cracked pipe. So got to get that fixed before we do any concrete. So plumbers will be by later today to fix that. So one of the things that typically happens right after we dry in our building, early stages, is we add our roof, and then typically we actually pour our interior slab. The reason we've waited until now to pour that is because this is a commercial white box space, meaning that there are going to be commercial tenants coming in here and renting out the space to do that. The idea of leaving the concrete out was to allow any future tenants to come in and install underground plumbing and such without, tearing up new concrete. So basically trying to save a future tenant, we're trying to save them money from having to cut into the concrete and then reinstall their work and then pour back the concrete. However, we're getting to the point now where we're starting to get close to the end of the project, and it is something that has to get done. So we decided that we're now going to pour it, and so that's the decision we've made. So, is there a right or wrong answer? It's hard to say. Everybody's got their opinion in the construction world about, should you do it, should you not? But we are going to end up pouring it, and the future tenant will have to, cut into it, and that'll be part of their build-out expense. So.
What's going on, folks? Eddie Carrington, Mayor of Flux City. Thanks for making it this far in the video. Really appreciate you chiming in, watching our videos. And I just wanted to end this video by kind of talking about just how hard I pushed my GC on delaying the pour of the commercial space to give the potential tenant that inhabits that first level an opportunity to save a couple bucks without the need to saw cut and run drains in certain locations that they may deem necessary for their establishment. We've tried to get a lease agreement signed for the right tenants in order to avoid that extra cost that the tenant will ultimately end up incurring. But with that said, we're just at a point where we have to pour. Based off of our contracts with the GC, they have to give me a bathroom on this first level. And we're getting close to being complete with this project. And we're now at a point where we just can't wait anymore. But the good news is I have a few LOIs out with possible tenants that will ultimately allow for me to have this first level or this ground level leased up. And I am excited for the potential tenants that will potentially be inhabiting the first level. Just don't want to share that information at this point as they're still reviewing their lease agreements. But we are still working diligently to find the right tenant for this first level, or for the ground level more specifically, and more to come on that. But once again, really appreciate you chiming in. We tried our best at holding off the pour on the ground level, and at this point we just have to bite the bullet and make it happen. So with that said, next time you see the space, you're going to see a concrete floor on the first level. So I'll see you next week's episode, and I'll reveal that finished product, or somewhat finished product, in that episode.